Dr. Daniel Amen'in is an award-winning psychiatrist, brain imaging expert, researcher, and best-selling author. He's here today to help you change your brain and change your life.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Daniel Amen'in. I'm so excited to be with you. Through our brain imaging work at the Amen'in clinics, with tens of thousands of patients from 62 countries over the last 2 decades, I've come to see with my own eyes that you can literally change your brain and change your life. This is one of the most exciting breakthroughs in medicine, because with a better brain always comes a better life. If you pay attention to me, if you use the front part of your brain so that you can focus, and if I can touch your emotional brain so you remember what I say, and if your brain is flexible enough to learn new things, then you're in for a treat. When you make your brain better by doing the right things, you improve your life. When you do the wrong things and hurt your brain, you make your life harder. Day in and day out, every day, you're either helping or hurting your brain. Did you know that blueberries are one of the best brain foods on the planet, along with avocados, walnuts, salmon, and green tea? But not getting enough sleep decreases blood flow to your brain and impairs your memory and your ability to concentrate. Did you know that increasing blood flow to your brain is literally the fountain of youth? But doing things that decrease blood flow, like nicotine, too much caffeine, alcohol, inhaling toxic fumes, prematurely ages the brain. This program will be divided into 3 parts. In part 1, I'll give you 7 simple principles to change your brain and change your life. I will also give you 1 question you should ask yourself every day if you really want to be successful in your life. In part 2, I will show you how to be happier, more focused, less anxious, and less depressed by balancing 3 important and very interesting brain systems. I'll also teach you a sneaky brain-based strategy to help you deal with the difficult people in your life. And in part 3, I'm going to show you how to make your brain great. You are not stuck with the brain you have. You can make it better, and I will show you how, including how to prevent Alzheimer's disease. And I'm not kidding. This program will also give you a completely new paradigm about why people struggle, along with new insights into healing the brain. For example, I want to tell you about a couple who failed marital therapy. That's right. Their therapist gave them an F. Now, how do you get an F in marital therapy? Well, after spending 3 years and $25,000, the therapist told them to get divorced. Well, this made the couple very upset because they wanted to be married. On the television, you see 2 brain SPECT scans. These are the scans that we do in our clinics. They're called functional scans because they show how the brain works, how the brain functions. What they measure is blood flow and activity patterns in the brain. Now, the scan on the left is a healthy scan, and what you see is full, even, symmetrical activity. Now, the image on the right is the husband's scan, and that Swiss cheese appearance indicates overall severely low activity in his brain. Now, this is the pattern that we often see with drug and alcohol abusers. But the scan didn't fit his history because he said he never used drugs and he didn't drink. Now, I've been a psychiatrist for a long time, and I know that drug addicts and alcohol, they lie. And they lie a lot, right? Am I wrong about this? They lie a lot. So in front of his wife, one of my first questions to him was, are you sure you don't drink much and you've never used drugs? And he said, Dr. Amen'in, I have many problems, but that's not it. So then I turned to his wife and asked her if that was true. And she said, oh, yes, Dr. Amen'in, he doesn't drink. He doesn't use drugs. He's just a jerk. I chuckled at the comment, but then, in my mind I wondered, then why does his brain look so bad? And so I went through the potential causes in my head. A brain infection. A near drowning can make your brain look like this. Low thyroid, being anemic, being exposed to some sort of environmental toxin. So my next question to him was, where do you work? He said, I work in a furniture factory. I said, what do you do? He said, I finish furniture all day long. He was doing drugs. In fact, he was doing the worst drug for your brain, which is inhaling organic solvents. So my next question to the wife was, so when did he become a jerk? And she said, what do you mean? I said, did you marry him that way? Do you have father issues that you're trying to work out? And she said, no, when we first got married, he was great. It wasn't until about 5 years ago that he started having trouble. And then she put her hand over her mouth and she said, oh my God, that's about the time he started to work in the furniture factory. Do you think his personality change can have something to do with his job? So as you can imagine, the first thing that I should do is get him out of that toxic environment. So I had him transferred in his company. And then I put him on a brain-healthy program. On the right treatment, his behavior got better, as did his marriage. I wonder how many marriages are suffering because one partner has a brain problem that no one is aware of. How do you do marital therapy with this brain? It will never work until you change his brain. Now, looking at the brain has been one of the most exciting adventures of my life. In the past few years, I've come to distill our work into 7 very simple principles. And if you follow me, one, you'll realize how simple these are, but they will change your life as they have changed mine. The first principle is your brain's involved in everything you do. Your brain's involved in how you think, and how you feel, and how you act, and how you get along with other people. After looking at 40,000 scans, I've come to believe that your brain heavily influences the type of person you are. Your brain is the organ of personality, of your character, your intelligence, and your soul. I've actually called the brain the hardware of the soul. Now that leads us into principle number 2, and that is when your brain works right, you work right. And when your brain has trouble, you have trouble in your life. So here are 2 more SPECT scans. The scan on the left is of a healthy person. The scan on the right is a heroin addict's brain. Drugs damage your brain. Do you think the heroin addict has any possibility of living up to his potential? I don't think so. The hardware of his brain is definitely not working right. When your brain is healthy, you tend to be focused, happy, relaxed, loving, effective. When your brain is unhealthy, for whatever reason, you tend to get distracted easily, you're sad, anxious, angry, not as effective. And that brings us to the next principle. It's a fascinating principle. And did you know your brain is the most complicated organ in the universe? There is nothing as complex as the human brain. Nothing. It's estimated that we have 100 billion nerve cells and more connections in our brain than there are stars in the universe. Information in your brain travels at about 268 miles per hour. Unless, of course, you're drunk. And then things really slow down. If you don't take care of your brain, on average, you lose 85,000 brain cells a day. That's about a brain cell a second. That is what causes aging. Now, with appropriate forethought, you can reverse that trend and dramatically slow the aging process. Now, that's a big promise. But if you pay attention to me, we're going to talk exactly how to do that. Now, the next principle